Good evening. My name is Vince Lestretto, and I'm a graduate student in Learning, Design, and Technology. I'm pleased to present this evening the tool Mentimeter and talk about formative assessments and how Mentimeter can maybe perhaps maximize or rethink some of your presentation ideas in your courses or classes. At the outset, just want to let you know this will be a little bit shorter than my normal. I'm going to try to keep this one to about 15 minutes. I know I got a lot of stakeholders that are interested in getting some insight on the tool and how it can be used in their classroom environments. So without further ado, we'll get into it. Again, I'm a graduate student learning to design and technology at NC State University. This fall, I'm involved in a class called Digital Learning Workshop. It's comprised of 3 strands, which include digital design, digital leadership, and digital inquiry. Digital leadership being the one that we're going to focus on tonight. My goal is to explore new technologies and inspire new users. Some objectives for this particular presentation: I'd like to provide a refresher on formative assessment and also provide you with some foundations of formative theory, and then give an overview of the tool, specifically Mentimeter, and how it works. We're going to do a quick tour of the back-end user interface and sort of let you know how you could use this thing and rethink maybe some of the ways that you do your presentations, and then I'll provide you with some strategies in my example scenario. So what is formative assessment? Well, formative assessment focuses on effective feedback. It's important to remember. It's a tacit knowledge becomes transparent, explicit, and available. It creates student-regulated learning experiences, and it allows instructors and educators key information about learner progress. It often occurs in real time in a synchronous classroom environment, digital or physical, and that's particularly the niche where I think that Mentimeter could really have an impact in your classroom or professional training environment. The key here is the interactivity, and that being the key to creating a digital curriculum that is powerful and effective, and the interactivity must allow for formative learning and assessment opportunities, and that's from the Partnership for 21st Century Skills, something that we discuss a lot today in education and education technology, 21st Century Skills, that is. I want to provide you with 5 aspects of formative assessment theory as you sort of frame the way that you think about a formative assessment tool in your classrooms. Number 1 being examination of democratic values of equality, representation, and consensus. Number 2, there's a recognition that there is differences between individuals which create opportunities for social development by discourse. This is an especially important idea when you start to think about collaboration and collaborative exercises. And it's this discourse that determines how the power is circulated throughout a society, and it is those with knowledge who have power to determine the nature and subject of the discourse, and advocacy for viewpoints which challenge the existing order. Now, of course, this is a very heavy but important to sort of frame why and how formative assessment works in a classroom and how it can really be impactful for your learners or various audiences. There's particular components of formative philosophy that I want to highlight here. That is, with formative assessment usually being done based on more or less a flexible criteria. This emerges from a post-structuralist cohesion of the late 19th and 20th centuries, and it differs starkly from scientism, where our focus is on high-stakes summative testing. So you think about initiatives like the No Child Left Behind Act and the EOG testing that occurs in our high schools. I know, at least in North Carolina, formative assessment it tends to be more frequent, a little perhaps less formal in certain environments. But the idea is again that interactivity between the learner and the instructor to sort of guide how the curriculum goes. There's a growing focus on measuring learning going on. There's a next generation assessment strategies have come into play, new tools that will have the potential to measure a range of cognitive skills, deeper learning, and can give instructors some actionable feedback. And if you've noticed, there's been sort of a gradual shift from evaluating our system on a basis of course to more of a curricular component. So if you think about competency-based learning initiatives, that really is at the heart of sort of this curriculum movement where we focus on particular lesson components. Also, in measurement and evaluation, you have this dashboard approach where course engagement is gauged by library swipes, simple attendance reports, and really smartphones are the real game changer here when you think about accessibility and how we can reach students, really in their pockets. So sort of a humorous formative response evolution through Generation Z, those born 1995 and beyond, as you think about who your current learners are and learners will be in the future. There's the old Socratic method with the hand raising that we often see in today's classrooms. And then, of course, there's the pop quiz. Remember, remember having to cram for a history exam because there would be a pop quiz the next day. And then in the mid-2000s, you sort of see this the entry of the digital technology with the clicker response card. And this was particularly important for large audience, large lecture hall type of scenarios where you kind of have this mini remote control thing. But as someone who used to work in college bookstores, these devices are often misused and misplaced and quite frankly overpriced in many cases. But fast forward to today, now everybody's got a smartphone in their pockets. And if you really think about the touchscreen technology and how that's really sort of created this whole new surface for students to engage and interact with the content, as pointed out here in the Mentimeter graphic, with a smartphone, with the touchscreen, you can sort of slide your level of engagement, agreement, disagreement. So you have this whole new means by which students can express themselves at their very fingertips. So what is Mentimeter specifically? Well, as I mentioned, it's a free online web-based presentation software, and it can be used ideally in conferences, professional training, or in the classroom. And there's also some private sector uses when it comes on the marketing side of things. Provides for unlimited interaction, real-time feedback, and within Mentimeter there are a variety of assessment tools for the facilitator to choose from, whether it be multiple choice quiz, image choice quiz, scales, and even open-ended free response. And one of the nice things is that we have the ability to now segment this data. We can open and close voting. We can filter profanities. This is especially important when you start thinking about larger audiences and the trolling that can sometimes occur. And then we can hide or show results as we see fit. And now we'll move on to sort of the demo, and I'll give you sort of that back-end user experience. So here we are in the Mentimeter dashboard. I've saved the time by just going ahead and creating an account using my Google credentials. That is an option. You can actually even create a Mentimeter account with your LinkedIn credentials, or you can simply sign up for a Mentimeter specific account. Again, I used my Google credentials for this particular purpose of this particular presentation, and I've selected a topic. It is fall after all, so why not football? So we'll go ahead and get into that, and I'll give you an idea of what some of the user interface experiences look like. Now, I could demo the presentation for you, but albeit, like I mentioned, it's more meant for a synchronous type of environment audience. Given that this video will likely be viewed in an asynchronous style, probably makes more sense for the user to just kind of stick to this sort of back-end experience. So I'll go through some slides and kind of talk about some features, so bear with me. So the first thing I want to show easily is you have this reactions panel here on the right. So you have love, question, thumbs up, thumbs down, and then cat. I think that means being away from the screen, but you can edit the heading here, 50 to 50 yard line, and very easy to edit these things. And then you move up here to a different slide, and then you can actually switch the slide type. So as I mentioned, those different type of assessment options, you can use multiple choice. And then if you select multiple choice, you have bars, you have donut, you have pie. I mean, just a lot of different ways you can implement that multiple choice questionnaire. So here we have my multiple choice question: how many teams are in the National Football League? So I can change my question type here, multiple choice, image choice. I'm just going with a simple multiple choice. But then if I just flip over to the content, you can see I can set the game rules here. I can even change the options to make it easier or harder. I can even put in multiple more options as it goes along. 48, 52, 100. But you get the idea. You can add on to this pretty easily. But then a nice thing too is you can edit the time to answer. So here I have it set to 5 seconds, but just with this scroll bar, you can move it all the way up to 6, 7, 8 seconds. And a particularly unique feature is the image multiple choice question. So if you think about a humanities subject like art history, where you can actually have an image and then ask an open-ended question, and then folks have to select their response based on the image or clue. So ideally, as your presentation is going on, you're engaging new users. So Menti lays it out pretty easily here. As you can see, step 1, grab your phone. 2, go to www.menti.com, and then you're issued this unique course code. So I have 242786. So if we were in a synchronous setting, ideally, folks could go, as I'm presenting this, they could grab their phones, go to the menti.com, and then implement that personalized code there that they've provided. Also want to point out with the free version of Mentimeter, they have these really cool themes. So I've just selected this from the top left here, and I can actually change the theme. So right now I have it on night sky, and I can change it over to dark or featured or brick. It all just depends on the tone that you want to set with the theme of your presentation or lesson, depending on the type of audience that you're looking to engage. And again, Mentimeter's purpose is sort of to step away from your traditional PowerPoint, Google Slides type of format. But if you do want to opt for some quick slides, they have that option too. So here with my introductory slide, "Are you ready for football?" I just grabbed a stock image, put that up there, and then you can change it to a heading with an image, heading or not with an image. These are all just different options that you can have to sort of, again, set that tone and get that type of maximize whatever your objective is. So again, it's difficult to sort of illustrate in this asynchronous type of presentation the actual really cool features, but just to give you an idea of what the final product looks like, this is my presenter's view. So again, I have that code and that custom code at the top with my image, and I can progress through my slides just like you would with any other slide scenario. There's my image quiz, and then I have that free response, and then I've started the countdown that we talked about earlier. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then as I would have users respond, you would see a complete tally there as it goes around. So you have seconds till the voting closes there. So you get the idea. Very easy to use. Again, that free response, and this is where that Wordle type of technology could be used as users respond with their various words. They pop up and create sort of a word infographic. Again, hard to sort of sell you how cool it is given this type of platform, but the idea is just to sort of introduce you and show that this technology out there does exist. So again, I just want to sell to the audience that it's important to be interactive with your users. And so for some final thoughts, when it comes to formative and summative assessments, a great way to think about it is when the cook tastes the soup, that's formative assessment, but when the guest tastes the soup, that's summative assessment. So you really kind of want that you, as the cook, instructor, facilitator, to be that cook in deploying those formative assessments. And then to continue with our football theme, quote from Vince Lombardi, "The difference between a successful person and others is not a lack of strength, not a lack of knowledge, but rather in a lack of will." So with the intuitiveness of this tool, and I know there's plenty of content experts out there, why not give it a try? You just have to have the will to do so. I want to thank you for viewing. This is a picture here on the right from the Cincinnati Bengals game last Thursday night, where I was a week ago this evening. Fun night in Cincinnati. And this is where you can contact me. Again, my name is Vince Lestretto. I want to thank you for listening. I'm an education student at NC State University in Learning Design and Technology. Feel free to email me for more information about this tool or guidance on how you can use it in your classroom or professional training. And you can follow me on Twitter at BRLASTRE on Twitter. And here's some references in case you wanted to delve deeper into any of the theoretical concepts that we discussed this evening. I can't believe it, but I ended up being under time, just in about time to wrap up this evening. But I want to thank you again for listening, and hope you enjoy some new possibilities with Mentimeter. Thank you again.